Welcome. I'm your host, Lindsey Roussel, guiding you through the minds of the new society's most brilliant thinkers and creators. Together, we'll uncover the passions and projects that are shaping the future, one new idea at a time. Here, it's all about innovation, inspiration, and the incredible individuals behind it. This is Who Knew? In today's episode, we dive into the remarkable journey of three extraordinary individuals who, in their spare time, have turned compassion into action at an impressive scale. They're not just friends, they're change makers, raising about $500,000 annually for pediatric brain cancer through an initiative called Hogs For The Cause. This isn't just fundraising, it's a heartfelt mission that combines their love for community, culinary adventures, and unwavering commitment to making a difference. Their story is a testament to the power of collective effort, passion, and the impact of giving back. Join me as we explore the drive, dedication, and the camaraderie behind their incredible contribution. Welcome to the show, the unsung heroes of Hogs for the Cause, Robby Moss, Minor Pipes, and Brad Gottsegen.
Lindsey, thank you so much for having us. We're thrilled to be here. I think it's fair to say that all of us have a extreme passion for what we're doing with Fleur de Q, our barbecue team, and Hogs for the Cause. I'm going to turn it over, let these guys introduce themselves, and then we'll dig into why it matters to all of us.
Hey, I'm Brad Gottsegen. I'm the treasurer of Fleur de Q, and I think number 304 of
Right,
the
thank
new
you.
founders,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken. I was looking over there at the beer bottles a minute ago, trying to remember which number I have, but I think that's pretty close. And I've been a member of Fleur de Q since the second year of Fleur de Q, so I guess it's going on 12 years, although in total, I think the team has been together for more like 15, but we had COVID in the middle as well as an additional break of a year. So this is, I think, our 13th actual year of fundraising, but I think the team's been going for 15. So enough about me.
And I'm Minor Pipes, and I guess my 408 maybe. There you go, somewhere in there. But look, I think the important thing about what we do is the three of us come from very different backgrounds. Robbie's in the insurance industry. Brad is an orthodontist. I'm an attorney. But the one thing that really gets us together more often than even liking each other is hogs. And I think that I've been doing it now for 13 years. And I think what's amazing about hogs is seeing a bunch of people from different backgrounds having one common goal, which is to make life a little bit better for families suffering the absolute worst, which is a diagnosis of pediatric brain cancer.
I can't imagine. Not at all. And you guys are friends? Were you friends before this? Or did this bring you together? How did that work?
Robbie and I have known each other since we were babies. Our parents were very close friends, and so we grew up around the corner from each other. Never went to school together. He's much older than I am. No, that's not true. He's younger than I am. But yeah, we've known each other forever. And then Minor, I kind of knew peripherally before he got involved with Hogs, mainly through his wife. And but now we've become all the best of friends with this common mission in mind. So this whole thing is not just a one weekend event for us. It's really a year-round operation, not only in the fundraising side of things, but also socially. And so we're incredibly dedicated and we've become very, very close through it.
That's awesome. So take us back to the very beginning. I know you're sort of staggered whenever you came in, but what inspired you to start working with hogs?
I guess I'll start. A friend invited me, right? So somebody introduced me to it. It was a great party. Think mini jazz fest, but 90 people cook. So that's kind of cool with great music. It was a lot of fun. And then I think the first year I went, there was a child who was diagnosed there with her family. And I was like, oh my God. And I'm thinking to myself how horrible this is. And they were so happy and so thankful because Hogs gave them $2,000, right? It wasn't change the world money, but it was make my life a little bit better at the worst time money. And all of a sudden I said, we are changing people's lives better than any check I could write anywhere in the city. And to me, that changed everything. And so I think getting involved was really for the party. Staying involved was for the effects of what we do.
If I could just add to that, the idea that this family isn't going through it alone. And that's the thing, like that they know people care about them or thinking about them. And there's people who want to support them when they can feel very isolated, whether that's a check, whether that's the Hogs houses, which is like a Ronald McDonald house where families can stay for free. It allows the family, their siblings to be on the campus next to their sibling or child who's getting treated. So they get to stay together as a nuclear family and support each other at no cost. I think Becker just announced when we launched the second Hogs House in Baton Rouge that the one in New Orleans has been at 90% plus occupancy since it opened. And the impact is it saved families who have stayed there more than $4.7 million. So while the money we raise that goes to grants is immediately impactful for families, doing these brick and mortar projects like we've done and we hope to continue to do with Hogs is the gift that keeps on giving because another family comes in and benefits from it. So it's really incredible. The other thing I would say about, for me, very similar to Minor, I knew people on the team, got involved, fun. Like this weekend, April 5th and 6th, out of UNO is going to be a blast. The music is great. The barbecue is great. Drinking is encouraged for those who drink. That's all fun. But the thing that I love so much about it is there's not do that's more grassroots and impactful. You can write a check to some very worthy organizations, United Way, Red Cross, you name it, whatever it is that you support. But you kind of write a check and it goes to wherever it goes and stuff happens. Feel like everything we do moves the needle in a meaningful way. And like, I've never felt like I've had a more tangible impact on what's happening with a cause that I care about. And so that's really.
And I want to come to that the administrative cost borne by Fleur de Q is incredibly low. Essentially 100% of everything that we fundraise goes directly to the cause of Hogs for the Cause. So we've got a pretty decent sized membership and we all pay a lot of dues in order to cover the expenses that we do. And our expenses are high. If you've ever been out to Hogs and been to our booth, we have a gigantic structure that gets built every year that comes with a pretty high cost. And so we have been totally committed to making sure that our dues fund the event as well as the other events that we do through the course of the year. And we're very, very proud of that. And if you go on to different websites to look at the efficiency that different nonprofits operate at, you see that some of them might be in the 50% range or 60%. I understand the reasons for that. You know, in order to really operate some of these programs, they have to have really high quality individuals running them. And the cost of hiring really high quality people is high. We're 100% volunteer, and because of that, all of our money goes directly to the causes that we're funding. So, anyway, we're very proud of that. My pathway, I just wanted to mention, is kind of funny how I got involved. I remember specifically being at Carrollton Baseball a long time ago. I can't remember. And I was talking to an old friend who's named Drew Harrington, who is the founder and captain of our team. And somehow we got on the subject of Hogs, and he had a team put together for the first year. And somehow the conversation went to money. And he said something to the effect of, "Do you know how to manage books?" Well, I knew how to balance a checkbook, and I knew on a rudimentary basis how to handle Excel. And I kind of became the treasurer from that point on. So I can't say that our finances are in array, um, thus being in disarray afterwards. Just nobody really knew how to do it, and somehow I became the person, and so that's how I've been running things ever since.
The guy with the computer got the job, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that makes a lot of sense. Well, it sounds like your dedication to it. I mean, y'all truly the fact that you donate your time, like you said, not just for the weekend. I mean, this is something I imagine y'all think about all year long. You start planning, the weekend after the event.
Maybe a couple weeks after.
Yeah, you give yourself
Little
a tiny
recovery
little
time.
break. Yeah.
The body doesn't handle this event very well when you get to your mid 50s. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I was going to say on the flip side, so I would be the donations guy. So I track all the donations. And I always say my job is to make sure that if we're supposed to have a check, we get a check. And my wife always laughs at me because the day after Hogs, I'm balancing books to make sure that every check has shown up and we know about it. So next year we can ask for another one. I mean, it's really one of those strange things where it's not about the dollars, but about the involvement, and the dollars take care of themselves. And so if there is somebody that should be donating money or that usually donates money, I want to make sure we keep them in the loop. And so it starts hard for me probably the first of the year. And I probably spend 4 months could be as much as an hour, well, probably 4 or 5 hours a week, just tracking everything, getting everybody organized, sending them in the right direction. And these guys do it in their own way. But I think for us, it's almost our time because now we get to focus on something better than us.
But we're a behemoth ourselves. You know, we raise a lot of money. We've got a lot of members. We're our own 501c3 nonprofit, which operates specifically to donate our money to Hogs For The Cause, which is his own 501c3. But we file a very intensive 990 tax return every year too. So as soon as this ends, we get to work on our books so that we can get that submitted properly. It's public record and it needs to be very precise. And we're very, very stewards of our donated money. We take our donors and our sponsors incredibly seriously, and we want to be very careful that we account for every penny that comes in and that there's as little waste as possible.
Worth mentioning, I'm sorry, I'll just add real quick, worth mentioning, the most recent Hogs House was a $2.5 million commitment from Hogs For The Cause, who's the primary, donor for that build out. Our team, out of the 90 barbecue teams, Florida Q, committed $1 million of that $2.5 million just by ourselves. So we're very proud of what we've been able to accomplish, and all thanks to incredibly generous donors and friends who have supported us all along the way.
That's what I was going to get into. Minor, you said it's not about the money, but it kind of is. I mean, it's about the food, it's about the people, but it kind of is about the money. And you guys are what? Tell me, how many years running? What are we at here? Champs?
13.
Yeah, last count, 13 years straight as top fundraisers at Hogs.
And in that time, I think we've raised a little over $3 million.
Chump change, really.
But the reason I say it's not about the money, right? I could write a $25,000 check. That's not a pride thing, but I could and say, I'm done. I would much rather write a $5,000 check and get 5 people to write $5,000 checks and get 10 people to write $1,000 checks, turn that into $100,000. And all of a sudden we're making a difference. And if I lose one along the way, guess what? It's not over.
Yep.
So to me, it's when you take care of getting 100 people to donate, some people should only donate $50. I don't want $100 from them. I want $50. But if you should be giving me 10 grand and you show up with $10, I'm going to tell you you're cheap and I'm going to ask for more. And that's who we are. And I think that's bringing people to the table at the right levels in the right place. That's more important than the actual dollars. The dollars will take care of themselves when you get everybody to donate that should donate at the right levels.
We have a very extensive donor list. In fact, I was just looking at our total donor list yesterday. And what's fascinating to me is what a giant percentage of our donors give the $50 and $100 and give it every year. So I was kind of running through our database and sending out emails to some lapsed donors that hadn't given in a couple of years. There's not that many of them. Most people, once they get involved with our cause, they give money every year and whatever it is that they can give. And I get constant emails and texts from people saying, you guys do such great work. We're really, really proud of it. Constant flow in my life.
That's
Now,
amazing.
but I'll tell you, between the three of us, we've become so shameless about our fundraising that I tell people all the time, I would ask some guy living in a tent under the Claiborne overpass for money. Like, I don't care. At least, the worst they can say is no.
Yeah.
The best they
I
can
might
say
give
is
him $10 and Brad will take it as
Yeah.
donation.
All right. So the three of you have jobs outside of this, like we talked about. How does this impact the rest of your life? I mean, by the end of this, are your wives just ready to murder y'all, or you got full support, or how does this look?
It may be different for Minor. Minor takes on a big role consumes his household, everything. I'll speak for myself. It's one of the things I think my wife really respects and is proud of that I do. And she contributes in her own way. She's very helpful in doing things without being an official team member in supporting the cause and doing things. So it's something that our entire family, and if that's something I want to talk about, which, you know, uh, is critically important for me too, and makes this so meaningful in my life, is we have made a conscious effort to bring our children into the organization. So when they are 15 years old through college, we have created what we call Little Smokies. And they come out and they're, emptying trash cans and they're reloading the bars and they're doing all the grunt work that needs to be done. And we're getting them involved in an early age. And we have kids now who have come through as 15-year-olds, now are graduating college and becoming full-fledged team members like Brad's son,
I think
Andrew.
my son Andrew is the first one of those.
Yeah. And it's like, I feel like we're teaching them how to give back and how important that is, how to ask, how to be able to, not be afraid to ask for people to support a cause that you care about. I'm proud to say today we created a little team for Country Day, has a couple of kids who are little Smokies, and they have their own little rally bound fundraising page. And they just surpassed the $2,000 mark, and they'll get a brick at the Our Lady of Lake. So, um, I think we're setting our kids up well to do the right things and be good human beings.
Robby has also really gotten his staff at his office involved. Robby's got, I don't know, 50 plus employees in his office, and they all show up at Hogs and they volunteer working in the kitchen, working in the merch booth, doing anything that we ask of them. They've totally bought in as well. So it's really fun to see people peripheral to us take on what we do as part of their own lives in a very meaningful way. Yeah, so they're called the Brigade. They have their own shirts, and they beg to come and work. They sign up on a list, and there is never an empty spot. It's really cool. In terms of my family, like Robby just said, my son Andrew, who's 23 and finished college last year, is I think our first former Little Smoky that's become a full member, and he's very excited about it. He's in grad school now, so it's kind of a busy time. We'll see how much he can do, but at least he's on there. And in terms of how it involves or affects our personal and professional lives, one of the things that at least the three of us have is very strong and very powerful spouses. They each do their own thing. They're all involved heavily in volunteer type stuff, and some have paying jobs, and some are just moms, which is the hardest job of all, as well as volunteering a lot. My wife is actually a dentist and has her own office, and she also has her own nonprofits that she works with. She's been heavily involved with Audubon Zoo, Audubon Institute. She's been president of the board there and is about to be that again, from what I understand. And so I kind of stand off and let her do her thing, and she kind of stands off and lets me do my thing. We're both incredibly supportive of what each other does. But when it comes down to Hogs Week, she just knows that it's what I'm doing and just don't expect me to be around very much. And fortunately, she's very, very good about it.
And I would add to that, my wife would say we stand out of the way and let them do their thing. And then you just saw her bring us a box from the house. Yeah. So she gets phone calls all the time from me, especially this week, that say things like, I need you to walk over here, look in this pile, take this out, and some guy you've never met before is going to knock on your door in 12 minutes. Please hand it to him. And so she does that all the time. We've come home from overseas to get back for Hogs, and she always gives me the can't you miss it 1 year? And I say, no, it's not acceptable. This is part of my job.
What brings you back? Is there one particular story that you hold on to? Is it just this massive, this do good for everybody? What is it drives you?
So I think the answer to be different for each of us, but probably a common sentiment. And for me, it's a little bit strange, and I hope no one ever has this experience. But I started doing this never having known anyone who would be a grantee. Since I've been raising money, I have had a high school classmate who lost a child. I have had a teammate who lost a child, and I've had a member of my family lose a child. And all of that after I was raising money and involved. And so I think just knowing that it can touch so many people and knowing the difference it makes, I think it would be hard to pull me away from it because of that. And I know that we make a difference. And I don't mean make a difference in the sense of there won't be a child diagnosed next week because of something we did. We're not curing cancer here. Like St. Jude's is amazing at taking care of the medical of these kids. American Cancer Society and all these other organizations, they do a great job raising money to figure out how to stop this. What do? You get a diagnosis. There's a one-page form. You send that in with a medical record, you get a check. And what do you do with that check? I don't care. I don't care if you pay a babysitter so that you can go with your kid to a doctor. I don't care if it means you take your kid on the one trip to see their grandmother they can never go on. Like, you pay your rent because you got to take time off of work. Like, I don't care what it's for. You get a check. And to me, that's amazing that we can do it in a way that actually makes their life a little bit better at the hardest time. So that's for me.
Yeah, and I think that, we all have a common experience of getting solicited constantly by different organizations around the country and even around the world. And they're all wonderful and they all do great things. That being said, uh, the impact that Hogs for the Cause makes is direct. And what I mean by that is that we meet the families that are going through these problems. We see the families coming in and out of hogs houses where they're staying for free while they've got a child getting treated as an inpatient at the hospital. And so the direct impact of that and the low administrative cost of everything we do makes me really proud. And that's one of the things that just kind of keeps me coming back more and more and more because we actually see what's happening.
I can't really add a whole lot. Minor, I thought you crushed it there, Brad, you too. But I do want to say one thing about Hogs for the Cause and the community that they built is it's really special and unique. Everybody's out there competing. Everybody wants to be the best ribs, the best, pulled pork, the best whole hog, the biggest party, the fundraiser, all the awards. It's super competitive, and that's fun in its own way. But Minor mentioned that we had a teammate whose son was diagnosed, Walker Beery. Kids joined the fight. They've created their own nonprofit. But all of the teams, or many of the teams, it must have been 30 teams or so, rallied together to put a fundraiser on for Walker up at the Fly, completely outside of Hogs for the Cause. And it was people who cared. And like, you want to talk about feeling like you're a part of something special. Like, that was an unbelievable moment of people who may not have known each other in any way all coming together to do something great. So, and that's the other thing I would mention is our team alone, and forget about all the other teams, but we have 65 members, 60 members, something like that. I've met some people from different walks of life who, work in shipyards or in construction sites or professionals, lawyers, whatever,
Or live out of town.
who come in. But like, we have a team full of people that like all walks of life and just come together for a common cause. And it's nice, especially in a world right now where everything is so divided. Like, it's kind of a safe place to get together and feel good about humanity, really, not to overstate it, but.
No, I mean, that's amazing. Like, we've talked a lot about the cause. We've not talked much about the food. I know that this is like, a huge part of how people actually support. So it's, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is people buy plates and all of the proceeds, everything goes to this particular cause. Tell me about the food process. And in addition to all of this, are the three of y'all staying up all night cooking the night before as well?
The answer to your second question is
No.
no.
Okay,
There was a time.
good.
My first year, I did stay out there and stay up all night.
We all have our roles.
I got it.
That's not
I
one of
got
them.
And I can tell you that none of the three of us are really involved in the cooking process at all. We
Okay.
pay for it, but we're not actually doing
There
the
you
cooking.
go.
I would say we go and balance books. I go home
Yeah.
and make a list of who we still need to follow up with the next day. But the cooking is important. Look, we have people on our team who cook. I love to cook, but I never cook at Hogs. And mostly it's because there's a different role for me. And I'm chasing checks while somebody else is making sure the ribs are cooked right. But you're right. So each booth sells food. It raises a lot of money. A lot of teams, that's the only place they raise money. I think we raise about $10,000 a year in food sales of the 500,000 we gave last year. So it's not, it may be less significant to our team, but it's still important because that's what this is about. And so we probably have 10 to 15 people on our team that's all they do is cook. And there's two types of cooking. One is what I would call competition food. So best ribs, best beans, or best sauce, whatever there is. And then you're selling food to the general public. And we also serve food to our higher up donors. So it's really nice that we do that. And it's kind of a cause. Like, we like to walk around. I can't speak for both of you, but I have with each of you at different times walked around and tried other teams' food. So it's not just about raising money for us. I don't have a problem, paying $6 to buy the next guy's, pork empanada and say, wow, those are good.
So I'm going to throw this out there right now. If you want to get excited about hogs, go to hogsfest.org/food and go look at the menus and the video of teams like signature dishes. And oh my God, you're going to be so hungry. You're not going to be able to wait until this weekend comes. It's unbelievable how creative people get in doing these different barbecue dishes and what they have out there. Just go, trust me, you'll be glad you did. Our signature dish for years has been what we call oysters porkefeller. and it's charbroiled oysters on the grill, shucked on site, and then topped with some pulled pork and some sauce on there. And that's our signature dish, but that's one of 90 signature dishes out there at the festival. You cannot go wrong. You will eat, should.
Yeah. But it is, aside from the fundraising aspect of things, it is a bona fide barbecue competition. And there are now barbecue gurus from all over the country that come in for this, whether they have their own team or they're participating as part of another team, they still come. And I've seen some of the tournament stuff. I've never been a judge. I'm always just been on Fleur but I see some of the stuff that gets turned in, and it's kind of amazing how good this stuff is. So uh, Fleur admittedly has not performed very well on the competition side of things for a lot
Y'all
of
are busy.
years.
Y'all are
You had to ask the question.
I know. I'm sorry,
We're
guys.
bringing our A game this year, and I'm feeling confident that we're going to do better than we have in the past. But there are some teams that just cook extraordinarily good food, and it's all out there for people to taste. And so if you are a barbecue aficionado, or more than that, you just love great food, it's not just barbecue. There's all kinds of stuff that's out there for the general public to buy, and it is amazing.
All right. So last sort of question here, talking about the vision. What would you tell our members, our listeners, somebody who wants to make a difference, but they might not know where to start? I mean, you guys, like you said, Minor, a friend asked you to come in and you loved it. And this was probably not where you saw yourself 15 years ago. You didn't think that this was going to be, your cause that you were fighting for, but now it is. It takes up, I imagine, a majority of your brain space, and your heart space. And so what would you say to but somebody who wants to make a difference and doesn't know how?
So I'll explain it on hogs and then say how I think it's similar. So what I tell people all the time that says, how do I get involved in this? My first answer is go. Go to the event, right? Go to the event and pay attention. Figure out why I care about this. That would be true if what you want to know is how do I get more involved in, whatever nonprofit or whatever scholastic situation or whatever. Go there and figure out what makes them special. And then if that matters to you, decide what role you want. I tell people all the time when people say, we should get Joe to be a member. And I say, you sure Joe isn't a donor? And people say, well, what's the difference? And I say, a donor sits on the other side of the bar while I serve them drinks and laughs at me that I'm working so hard. A member says, move out of the way, I'm going to come help you. We need donors, right? I'm not upset about that. That's your role. Like, this isn't your gig. You're out there to have a great time and party. Great. Write me a check. You want to come out there and roll your sleeves up? We'll get drunk next week. Let's go have a point where we're doing the work. And that, once you've got your role, then we'll help you through it. If anybody's interested in hogs, come out there, come to Florida Q, look for Minor. People will know where I am. I'll be happy to walk you through what we do and talk to you about it and answer any of your questions. But I think that's what's different for me.
So I'll say, without too deep and too far back, but this thing started. This is the 16th year. They call it their Sweet 16 or whatever. Um, this thing started with a couple of guys who went to school, one in Charleston, one in Washington and Lee, and they had a neighborhood friend who had a child who had a diagnosis of a brain tumor. They went up to the fly to cook a pig and passed the hat around. I think they raised $2,000-3,000 from people who were there. Nothing, nothing official. And finished, and they gave that money to the family. They're like, we should do this. There's something to this. And one of the things I love so much about Hogs is how grassroots it is and how entrepreneurial it is. And I give a tremendous amount of credit to Becker and Renee and Zandy for leading the ship, but also for recognizing, let us step back and let these 90 teams take us in different directions and see where it goes. And the way this thing has evolved is unbelievable. From flooding at City Park with one stage and one night event, to now we have Friday night parties that the teams put on, completely unrelated to the festival, that has turned into now a 2-day event because Friday became so big. And for me, it's just that idea that we have the ability to impact not just families, but the way this thing happens. It's like, so find something that I think, like you're willing to say, I want to be a part of it and direct it and have an impact on. And if you feel like you're impacting things, it's going to make you more drawn to it than ever. And certainly that's been the case for me.
Yeah. And look, I think that there is absolutely zero way that those two guys up at the Butterfly 16 years ago ever thought that it would turn into what it's turned into now. The fact that we're impacting people in all 50 states, the fact that every application that comes into Hogs for the Cause gets funded, that there's enough money to do that. The fact that we've now completed 2 residential lodges where families stay for free while their child's inpatient at a hospital, with more on the drawing board. Nobody could have ever imagined that. And so when you talk about vision, it's kind of hard to say because the vision is very fluid. It's changing constantly based upon the kind of money that Hogs has to do what they and we are doing. And I would hope that the model that we've created with these Hogs houses, both in New Orleans and Baton Rouge, is something that's exportable to other children's hospitals around the country. There's certainly a need for it. The cost of living has gotten so high everywhere. And for a family who's got a kid in the hospital for a week or 2 weeks or a month to be able to stay in one of these places free of charge and have support systems and recreational opportunities for the rest of their family to all stay together while their child's being treated, it's extraordinary and definitely in need. And so I would think that from a vision standpoint, expanding the reach of those physical assets is something that is very much on the mind of the Hogs guys.
They just announced in Greenville, South Carolina, right, that they just committed the funds to build out an oncology center, the entire oncology center at a children's hospital there.
Yeah, $1.5 million.
So like the asks are pouring in to Hogs for the Cause, and Florida Q is going to be a major contributor to allow them to say yes to all those requests.
Well, this is amazing. Congratulations. What y'all are doing is really unbelievable. To be able to sit here across from you guys who are, seemingly normal guys who are just doing this absolutely extraordinary thing is just humbling. I feel like we've taken a deep dive into what makes y'all's involvement with Hogs so remarkable. I'm going to switch it up. This is something that I did not tell y'all we're doing. This is a rapid fire round, which I have deemed new nuggets. This is a think fast, answer quickly. It's a way to catch a little bit of your personality. And so this is going to be 10 questions coming at you. Mine or you and I will have to share, but I'll do a quick swing. So maybe we'll go around this way. Ready? Are y'all nervous? I feel like this is what you do. Yeah. Whenever you're drinking a pony at 11:41 a.m., you got to do new nuggets. All right. So music while you're working, yes or no?
Absolutely.
Yes.
No.
Late nights or early mornings? When do ideas strike?
Ideas late nights, work early mornings.
Early.
Desk, organized chaos or minimalist?
Minimalist.
Organized chaos.
In between.
Science fiction or science fact?
Science fact.
Fact.
Fiction.
Right. Karaoke, to sing or not to sing?
Depends on the amount of liquor.
All right.
Oh, Lord, no.
Saying.
Books or movies?
Movies.
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 Am I getting a text or a call?
Text.
Text.
Call if it's important.
City life or country life?
Both.
Both.
Urban.
Air travel or road trip?
Both.
Road trip.
Air.
All right. And the final one. Zombie apocalypse survival item. Solar powered chainsaw or endless supply of hot coffee?
Coffee.
Chainsaw.
Absolutely chainsaw.
Mine or you
I'm
might
going
make
for
it
those
out.
brains.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today. Tell our lovely listeners where they can find you this weekend and how to support.
Well, so we will be at Hogs for the Cause all day on Friday and all day on Saturday. It's out behind the Lakefront Arena at UNO, and you can't miss it. You'll smell it, you'll see it, you'll hear it from any distance. I want to mention also that Tim Williamson, our guiding light here at the New Society, is a new member of Florida Q, and his ass better be out there. That's all I got to say. So we'll be out there pretty much all weekend long. If you want to come out and visit us, please do.
When you look at the main festival stage left will be a massive double-decker booth. That is Team Florida Q. You can rise up above the crowd and see the whole thing. You can go inside in the shade. If you buy a wristband from us for $100, we'll treat you like a VIP. You get drinks, and you'll have an incredible time.
And if you want to donate, teamfloridaQ.org.
Team FDQ.
Team FDQ?
teamfdq.org/donate. There's an easy button, and every dollar that you give us is 100% tax deductible according to the Louisiana law. So there's really no reason to not do it. It's free money.
There you go.
All right.
Hope to see y'all out there.
Until we meet again, let yourself be amazed by the people who dare to make a difference. This has been Who Knew?